On 17th February 1803, a fire broke out in Bombay in which 471 of the city's houses were destroyed. Every effort was made to stop the fire that was driven rapidly by the winds. But back in those days, there was no fire protection service, and so the fire could only be abated after it had consumed nearly one-third of the town's houses. 151 years later, on 14th April 1944, when the Second World War was at its peak, a freighter named SS Fort Strychnine exploded in the Victoria Docks. Now, while the Great Fire of 1803 took an entire day, the fire caused by the explosion took 3 days to extinguish. Not to mention the 1,300 lives that it claimed, which included 66 firemen and 500 civilians. 2,500 people were injured, 13 ships destroyed, and over 80,000 people were made homeless. Disaster was written all over SS Fort Strychnine as it was carrying the most unusual cargo, which included 87,000 bales of cotton, 890,000 pounds worth gold bullion, and 300 tons of TNT. And because it was wartime, the customary red flag, which indicates an explosive cargo, was also excluded from the ship. The gold in particular was brought here as it was meant to be kept safe and away from the war-torn Europe. At around 2 in the afternoon, smoke was seen coming from the cotton bales. So, about 65 firefighters were engaged to stop the fire, who worked throughout the afternoon with the fire hoses. But at around 4, the TNT was ignited. It created a blast so massive that the entire 4,000-ton ship was lifted off the bay onto the land. A second explosion happened half an hour later, and the sound was so immense that it was heard as far as 80 kilometers away and was also recorded in the Shimla Richter scale. A propeller traveled a distance of around 5 kilometers from the dock and landed itself on the campus of the St. Xavier's High School, and it still resides there today. Window panes were shattered in the fort area, and gold pieces dropped from the skies in stray areas. It's reported that places as far as Mazgaon, Girgaon and Sandhurst Road received these gold showers. 50,000 tons of food grain were destroyed, 6,000 firms were affected, and over 50,000 people lost their jobs. The whole event was underplayed due to the wartime censorship, and no details were reported by the British government. And it was only on 22nd May, after more than a month, that magazines like Time and Life published this story. As for the firemen who lost their lives, a monument was created in their memory, and every year between 14th April and 21st April, National Fire Safety Week is observed all across the country.